Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alright, so we are very happy to have this opportunity to bring you this topic, Language Contact 1, Maintenance, Shift, and Death. To know us, the members of the Group 8, me myself, Ainun Rizky Chandra as the moderator and the first speaker, Andi Naura Aini Firilia as the second speaker, Aprita as the third speaker, and Dwi Nurul Aliza as our fourth speaker. So, language contact sometimes occurs when there is increased social interaction between people from neighboring territories who have traditionally spoken different languages. But more frequently, it is initiated by the spread of languages of power and prestige via conquest and colonization. This chapter briefly focuses on how languages are adapted under these circumstances, especially on the ways in which contact between cultures affects the languages in contact. We then turn to the condition under which communities are able to maintain their languages in the face of societal change. Particular attention in this chapter is given to the circumstances under which a bilingual community gradually gives up one language in favor of another.
Contact and drawing. Language contact has traditionally been a subfield of historical linguistics, concentrating on changes in language that are due to external influence from other languages rather than with internal changes. One concept of language context studies that overlap with the discipline of historical linguistics is the nature of borrowing. So, borrowing is a technical term for the incorporation of an item from one language into another. This item could be in terms of decreasing order of frequency, words, grammatical elements, or sounds. Borrowing is different from code switching, which assumes a mastery of two or more languages and the use of a wide range of rules of the language being switched by contracts. Borrowing usually involves the adaptation of a word into the phonetic and grammatical system of the other language. Furthermore, the borrowing of a word does not presuppose a knowledge of the language from which it is taken. Socialists are more interested in the cultural aspect of borrowings, since the process of borrowing is also a process of learning and acculturation. However, sociologists seldom find a direct relation between borrowing and the demise of language. To some extent, borrowing can instead be seen as an adaptive strategy undertaken by speakers to enrich certain register of language rather than having to switch to the new language for the register. Language maintenance shift ended. So, the term language shift was first used by Ural Wainwright 1968, 1953, 68 to denote the change from the habitual use of one language to that of another. The terms maintenance and shift were consolidated in a pioneering article by Joshua Fishman in 1964. Language maintenance denotes the continued use of a along with in the face of competition from a regionally and socially more powerful language. The opposite of this term, language shift, denotes the replacement of one language by another as the primary means of communication and socialization within a community. The term language that is used when that community is the last one in the world to use that language. Four types of language that based on Koppel and Munsell 1989. Gradual deed involves gradual replacement of one language by another. That is, it also involves language shift. For example, replacement of Gaelic by English in parts of Scotland. Sudden rapid extinction of a language without an intervening period of bilingualism. The speaker in monolingual in the thing language, as in the case of Tasmanian. Radical deed due to severe political repression. A community may, out of self-defense, to stop speaking their language. The last speaker are thus fluent in the language but don't actually use it or transmit to their children. For example, the massacre of thousands of Indians in El Salvador in 1932 led the surviving speakers of Cacaopera and Lenca to stop speaking this language as a survival strategy so as not to be identified as Indians. Bottom to top tip. A language cases to be used as a medium of conversation but might survive in special use like regulation or folk songs. For example, Southwestern Delta is ding in Mexico with only a few older speakers in Scarted Village, but survives in the register of prior based on Campbell and Munsell 1989. Causes of shift. Clause 1966 has pointed out that many of the factors may even cut both ways. Thus, none of the following factors on their own can be used to predicate the ability of a language to survive. 1. Absence or presence of higher education in the dominant language. 2. Relatively large or relatively small numbers of speakers of the dominant language. 3. Greater similarity or greater dissimilarity between groups speaking the dominant and dominated language respectively. And the last, positive or hostile attitudes of the dominant group to the minority. Some languages have point after the fact to specific factors that have in practice caused the decline of certain language. These factors can be grouped as follows. 1. Economic change. 2. Demography. 3. Institutional support. And the last, status. Gilles et al. 1977, Apple and Muscan 1987 32 to 45. Okay. One, economic change, yaitu perubahan ekonomi sejauh ini merupakan faktor yang paling menonjol yang menyebabkan pergeseran. Meskipun hubungan tersebut tidak perlu maupun cukup, penjajaran berbagai komunitas tutur sering sekali disebabkan oleh invasi, pencarian perlindungan, imigrasi, pekerja atau perdagangan. 2. Demografi. Jumlah penutur memiliki pengaruh terhadap keberhasilan pemeliharaan bahasa. Mungkin tampak jelas bahwa semakin kecil ukuran suatu komunikasi, semakin kuat ancaman pergeseran dan kematian bahasa. Namun, tidak mungkin untuk menentukan masa kritis penutur yang diperlukan untuk kelangsungan hidup suatu bahasa. 3. Institutional support. Penggunaan bahasa minoritas dalam pendidikan, agama, media, atau administrasi dapat membantu upaya untuk memperkuat posisinya. Namun, bagi kaum minoritas, hal ini hanya dapat dilakukan dengan biaya yang besar. Ada batasan sejauh mana bahasa imigran yang tidak dominan atau lebih umum bahasa dapat digunakan di sekolah. Terdapat asimetri yang besar antara penggunaan bahasa minoritas dalam lingkungan pendidikan yang terkait dengan norma formal dan standar suatu bahasa, dan penggunaan bahasa yang sangat sehari-hari dan terlokalisasi yang menjadi ciri khas suatu bahasa dalam tahap-tahap sekarang. And the last yaitu status. Beberapa penulis menganggap harga diri suatu kelompok dan status bahasa mereka, lisan atau tertulis, wahana teks-teks suci, bahasa daerah utama di tempat lain di dunia, dan sebagainya, berperan dalam pemeliharaan atau pergeseran. Namun hal ini tidak sepenuhnya terpisah dari faktor ekonomi dan kelas. Jadi bahasa Arab adalah bahasa berstatus tinggi di Timur Tengah, tetapi tidak di Eropa yang sebagian besar dikaitkan dengan penutur kelas pekerja imigran dan pengungsi. The cause of shift. Language shift involves the progressive redistribution of the language over these domains, with the home regulation for songs and tales usually being the last bastion of survival. For the dominant language, many shifts involved more than one minority language, whose position are weakened not only by the dominant language but also by each other. Immigrant communities from different areas of origin may develop close association in the workplace and neighborhood, which demand the use of lingua franca, the most expedient or less divisive choice in often the dominant societal language. Speaker competence in language shift. The shrinkage of the minds in the course of shift is paralleled by receding competence in successive generation of the shifting community. Speaker of a language that is in its last state by exhibit a range of competence in the outgoing language from full command to zero. Such a speaker have been characterized as young fluent speakers, passive bilinguals, and the last semi-speaker. Gender and shift. The main social network and gender prove to be crucial concept in understanding the way in which speakers shift or shift from one language to another, economically more powerful one. The influential study by Gall 1979 showed in the detail how the patterns of language use change according to these variables. Gender and matrimonial relation seem to play a significant part in a number of other language shift situations. Gall showed that women were less constrained than men in letting their current social network determine the choice of Hungarian or German, rather they were in advance of men in their choice of German. Gall argues that the reason of the use of local Hungarian was part of the reaction by younger women of peasant status and peasant life generally. Hungarian and become the symbol of peasant status and particularly hard life for wives who had to do much of the agricultural work and the domestic chores.
The linguistic of obsolescence. 1. Dying language show a restricted vocabulary, simplified inflection, and less movement of phrases. Unlike pigeons, dying language do not exhibit uniform word order or a total breakdown of grammar. 2. Is Sutherland Gaelic. For example, word order remains intact and complex grammatical structure such as subordinate clauses and persist. 3. Plural formation. Dorian's study of its Sutherland Gaelic highlights several ways to form plurals, such as ending suffix, changing final consonant, irregular forms, and internal vowel changes. The last 4. Semi-speaker speech. There is a trend toward simplification, particularly in the use of suffix, but the original complexity of the language is still somewhat retained. Language survival despite colonialism. Over 200 Native American languages are still spoken despite centuries of colonialization, showing the strong commitment of speakers to maintain their language. Language diversity. Native American languages are diverse, often belonging to related language families. Tribes and strategies for intertribal communication, taught share language, learning neighboring language, or adapting a lingua franca. European colonization. The arrival of Europeans introduced new language and led to complex interaction between native and European language. Some native language become more widespread, while European language like English become dominant in some regions. Role of interpreters. Native interpreters played critical roles in communication during colonization, often navigating between two cultures but facing marginalization within their own communication. Neo-linguistic code. European contact led to the creation of new linguistic code, such as pidgins and the spread of non-standard English, including African American Vernacular English, influenced by the South Church and interaction with French South. English in native communities. By the late century, English was becoming the dominant language in some areas, reinforced by English-only education policies in boarding schools, which caused and shift away from ancestral language. Tribal multilingualism.
Despite English dominance, Native American communities remain multilingual with distinct varieties of English, such as Youth English, influenced by their ancestral language. Language adoption. Native communication continue to adapt and maintain their language by integrating other linguistic traditions, showing realization in safeguarding their cultural heritage. The study underscores the complex history of language maintenance, shift, and adoption in Native American communities, shaped by internal commitment and external pressures.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. I'm doing Nurul Alisa and I will continue the material. Saving endangered language. Between 1490 and 1990, about half of the world's language disappeared, and many of the remaining 5,000 to 6,000 are endangered. Michael Krauss, where the 90% of language might be this country, talk some like in East Africa, have experienced language shift for millennia. Originally Australian language have sharply declined with fewer than 50 remaining in use by children. In the US, Navajo is declining with younger generation losing proficiency. Similarly, Celtic language in Europe and Khoisan language in Southern Africa are struggling, often giving way to more dominant regional language. Two views on language depth. Safeguarding diversity and culture well. The less fluent user of Damin, spoken by initiated men among the Lardi people of Mornington Island in North Queensland, Australia, passed away several years ago. The destruction of this intellectual treasure was carried out, for the most part, by people who were not aware of its existence, coming as they did from a culture in which wealth is physical and visible. Daming was not visible for them, and as far as they were concerned, the Lardi people had no wealth apart from their land. Hall 1992-40. Community views of progress in dominant language. As a linguistic, I am of course saddened by the vast amount of linguistic and cultural knowledge that is disappearing, and I am delighted that the National Science Foundation has sponsored our UCLE research, in which we try to record for posterity the phonetic structure of some the language that will not be around much longer. But it is not for me to assess the virtues of programs for language preservation versus those of competitive programs for tuberculosis eradication, which may also need government funds. Last summer, I was working on the Halo, a rapidly dying Cushitic language spoken by a few hundred people in a rural district of Kenya. I asked one of our consultant whether his teenage son spoke the Halo. No, he said. They can still hear it, but they cannot speak it. They speak only slowly. He was smiling when he said it and did not seem to greet it. He was proud that his sons had been to school and knew things that he did not. Whoa, who am I to say that he was wrong? A model for reversing language shift. Joshua Firman, advocating for the preservation of minority language, developed the Great International Disruption Scale (GIDS) to assess language in German. His scale, similar to the Richter scale in geology, outlined a stage of language shift from stage 8, where only elderly isolated speakers remain, to stage 1, where the language is used in higher education, media, and government but lacks political independence. Fishman emphasized that no language is beyond saving and proposed strategy for revitalizing language at different stages of decline, starting with community and educational efforts to pass the language to younger generation. Joshua Fishman GIDS scale outlined activities needed at each stage to reverse language shift and ensure intergenerational transmission of injured language. The goal is for test language to function as everyday vernacular rather than just for a specific purpose. Such a focus on reviving language that are no longer spoken by commodities, requiring efforts from community members and linguists. Examples include the revival of Cornish in England and efforts by Canada Huron people. In Kenya, Martin Moss, found surviving speaker of Yaku, once believed extinct and proposed integration Yaku word into Maasai grammar for a pragmatic revival. While Fishman model provides a clear path for diagnosing and reversing language shift, it faced critiques. The emphasis on creating spread in institutions for language revival, such as school and work environment, may lead to segregation and counter modern pluralist ideal. Additionally, the model assumes clear cutting group versus out group identities, which modern sociology argues are more fluid wherever in regions where ethnic identity is central, such as part of Europe and Africa. Fishman's approach may still be applicable. And the last conclusion. The study of language shift and death is important for linguists, especially sociolinguistics who focus on speaker commodities rather than language structure. While linguistic expertise is needed to document injured language, language injurement is mostly a political issue. Fishman models show that more linguists should collaborate with marginalized communities to help them understand the consequence of their language choice. The chapter also covers borrowing as a sign of culture contract by mainly focus on language maintenance, shift, and death. Key factors influencing language shift include economy, status, demography, and institutional support. During war language shift, particularly the concept of the SME speaker, is discussed. A case study on American Indian language illustrates how communities balance traditional language maintenance with the growing influence of English, especially among younger generation. Finally, global efforts to document and support injured language, including Fishman program to reverse language shift, are highlighted. Okay, that's it from me. I will give back to moderator. Thank you.